Back for another edition of the Kaufman Corner podcast, and with you, David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're down a man as Les Norman is at camp. He's a camp counselor, always giving back, Les. So we're down the best guy out of the bunch. You have just the riffraff of the Thursday edition of the Kaufman Corner, David Lesky and Soren Petro with you. We've got a lot to cover here in the show. We're going to get to how hot is Salvy and what does that mean for the Royals this year and moving forward, picking up the extension. Is he a trade chip again? What are the latest thoughts on the trade deadline? What's the outfield rotation with MJ Melendez back? Yeah, that's right. He's back. And it's all fixed, as I understand. That's what David's going to tell us, I'm sure, is what's coming. What's the upside with John Rave? He seems to be a new man since he went down and worked with people outside the organization during the All-Star break. Why isn't Noah Cameron getting more hype for the Rookie of the Year? I'll give you some numbers that go with that. Is Vinnie the heart and soul of this team? I might even get into a little Jack Caglianone. We're talking about it right here, right now, on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Off and running here with the Kaufman Corner podcast on a Thursday. We stream. If you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation in the chat room. We've already got some people lined up in there right now. We do it at 8:30 on Thursday mornings, 8:30 Central, if you want to be a part of it. David, let's talk about the Royals. Salvador Perez, he is on fire again. He's always been a streaky player. He was actually on fire earlier in the year and was hitting into bad luck, and then it kind of went away, and you're like, well, I think he's just gotten old. You know, maybe he wasn't on fire. Maybe that exit velocity and all the batted ball data was a little bit fluky. Now he's definitely on fire. How does this change how you view him now moving forward as a trade piece? What do you think of the way he's playing right now?
I don't think he's a trade piece.
Because he's not valuable or because they won't want to move him now?
I think it's the latter. I mean, he's bad. Well, two things. One, you know, those teams are always hesitant to trade for catching at the deadline because it's tough. You're learning a new staff. Look at the trade deadlines in the past, 4 or 5 years. 2020, I wouldn't look at necessarily, but it's generally not. Catchers aren't going because it's tough. I mean, Christian Vasquez to the Astros a couple of years ago was a rare one. I can't even think of any off the top of my head. Catchers do move, like backup catchers sometimes and minor league catchers, but it's generally an off-season thing to learn a pitching staff. So that makes it tougher. But I think more of it is the Royals. And I think when they approached him, was that just 2 years ago? I guess it was. Yeah, 23, and said, look, we're going to trade you if you accept, and he gave in and he was going to accept a deal. Didn't happen. And I think once that happened, it was never going to happen. I just don't see a world where they do that or he accepts it. Especially, I think if they were, 40 and 63 instead of 50 and 53, maybe he looks at that and says, all right, I'm going to tell him to decline my option. I'm going to come back next year or whatever. But I think Salvy sees this team as in the same way that a lot of the players do. And they should, is that, hey, hey, we're a run away. The front office is the part that needs to look at this series realistically. The team needs to look at it and say, we're a 10-game winning streak away from being in a driver's seat. And I think Salvy sees it that way. And I don't think he would accept a trade right now. I don't know that for certain, but I don't think he would.
So that's a key part of the equation. $13.5 million. I think we felt like even when they weren't going well, they were going to pick it up. Just his status within the organization. That's a no-brainer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's definitely.
Well, it is, except for I think it's much more likely now that they pick it up and then rework a deal. 2 for 24, 3 for 30, something like that. So, but yes, it's a no-brainer. He's going to be back next year.
Okay, so he's definitely going to be back next year. You're talking about, did they say now we want him to finish as a Royal? Salvy, you're not what you used to be, so we're not giving you $20 million. We'll give you more than maybe you're worth because
what was the Mitch Garver deal?
What's that?
What was the Mitch Garver deal? He got 2 and 24.
Okay,
that feels right.
Okay.
So maybe you add an extra $1 million a year and it's 2 and 26. I don't know.
So something along those, or 2 for 25 with a $2.5 million buyout on a 15 you're not planning on getting, right? Whatever it is, throw a little money as he does exit, whenever he exits. But that then takes us to, right back to where you were when MJ Melendez was coming up. Except for now you've already got a competent, I think, starting caliber catcher in Freddie Fermin. And when I say starter, I mean starter the way most teams play a starting catcher. Like, he does get overexposed. We saw that a little bit coming down the stretch last year when he was playing every single day. So, but could he be the lead guy in a catching tandem that both guys get meaningful at bats? Yes, that kind of starter, right? Not necessarily what Salvador Perez was in the prime of his career. He can be that kind of guy. And Carter Jensen is hitting in AAA. So if Salvador Perez isn't what you're going to trade, are we now at a point where it's time for them to say, okay, then what we are going to trade is some of the catching depth? Carter Jensen would be a valuable piece. Whether you're buying or even playing for the future, somebody who needs a catcher might give you something else, right? You might be able to get your outfielder for moving a catcher, or more importantly, Freddie Fermin coming down the stretch. I know you kind of touched on how often you see catchers move, but I would love to get Freddie Fermin if I were a contending team and didn't like my catching situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's who's got bad catchers? You've got the Astros could use some defensive help. The Padres are looking for catching. The Rays are looking for catching. I think the Dodgers would be interesting if they trade rushing in a deal, and maybe if they don't, short term. And the Red Sox could use a backup catcher. Narvaez played really well for them, but do you believe it? A, and B, Connor Wong has not played that well for them. So there are some teams out there who would be really interesting for Fermin. And the Rays are, I feel like, the type of team that says, look, I don't care when we get the catcher. I don't care if we have to learn if he has to learn pitching staff. I'm going to get him right now and we'll figure it out. That's just kind of the way the Rays do business. So yeah, there are some teams out there for Fermin. And I was thinking about this a little bit. How do you handle Jensen and Perez? While Fermin is a better defender than either of them, honestly run circles around either of them, a right-left duo is actually a little more interesting. If you say, okay, Salvy's going to catch every game against a lefty pitcher. You're not going to play Carter Jensen as a rookie, at least, against every pitcher. Let's say he comes up. Let's say he starts opening day next year. I don't know if he will, but the way he's hitting in AAA, maybe he does. You get, I don't know, what is that, 45 games for Salvy? The way this year's going, it's 12, but it is. Yeah. Don't face many lefties, but 45, 50 games, and then he catches another 20, and Jensen catches the other 90, 92, whatever it is. And then Jensen DHs occasionally. You get him 110 games. I think it can work. And if you say we have to have a third catcher, you find them all the time. They got Luke Maile right now. They're always defensive third catchers. They just don't. And Fermin is not a great hitter, but they just don't hit as well as Fermin. And what is he sitting here? And he's got a 78 weighted runs created plus, so he's well below average offensively. And that's come down. He was 108 in 2023, 92 last year. That came down when he started playing more, and then the 78 this year. But still, he's better than some backup catchers offensively, and the defense picks it up. But I think there's a way to make that work. So yeah, I would be shopping Fermin, and I would be shopping him now. And do you trade Jensen? It's tougher now, right? With the AAA numbers, it's a little easier to trade a guy when he's hitting well in Double-A than when he's hitting well in Triple-A, and it's easier when he's hitting well in A ball than when he's hitting well in Double-A because he's closer. I would only.
And by the way, just real quick, if people have not paid attention to what Carter Jensen's done, I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast obviously are hardcore fans and they're probably well aware of it. But if you're not, 274, 366, 677 when he was called to Omaha, 16 games. In 16 games, he has 7 home runs and 4 doubles. Now he's scorching hot, kind of the way Jack Caglianone was scorching hot down there. So let's all, remember that did not translate into Caglianone coming up and dominating. So before you decide he's ready, let's go. The Royals have quality catching, but he is left-handed hitting. And I'm with you. I want to just, and I know I said just one thing, and now I'm going to pirate your point. But I want to, you said it's tougher to trade him. And it's actually easier to trade him because he's hitting. Like, I want to be clear. I know what you're saying. It's tougher to give him up.
Yes, tougher to give him up. That's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Just to be picky about the phrasing there. But that's the thing. If you do come to the conclusion we have to move some of these catching prospects or some of our catching, wherever it might be, and get what we need, you need to have the mindset. It's easier because you need to know already what he is. This hot streak doesn't have you going, I'm not sure about him. Nope, we're totally sold. Like, you have to have known what this player is. It's what frustrates me the most about MJ Melendez. They clearly didn't know what he was, or they were more willing to bank on hope than they were reality. Let's hope he gets better. Yes, he had power, but he clearly would have shown the signs of the problems of frequency of contact. The swing always looked like ass. Okay, there's no way. And yet when he wins a home run title in Double-A, if you're honest about what he is, you trade him right there. This is the best he's going to be because we know what this guy is. That swing's a problem. The big leagues are going to expose it. He doesn't really catch that well, and you should have shipped him. And so now you should have the right read on what he is, and you should be ready to move him. If you think there's a flaw in that swing, you should be ready to move him. This just makes it easier.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We're going to go off. This is a huge branch. Melendez swing and miss didn't come up until the majors, interestingly enough.
Really?
He whiffed. I was just pulling it up. His swinging strike rate 11.7% in Double-A and Triple-A in 2021, which is pretty reasonable for a power guy. And then it was 11.4% in the majors, and then 14.9%, 13.8%. This year, 17.7%. So, to be fair, that did come up later. But your point is correct. And I think that if you did not think Carter Jensen was a big league starting catcher a month ago, you should still think that. Nothing he's done. That's not enough at bats to do it. And we talked, I feel like it might have been a Thursday when he had gone 1 for 25 to start his Triple-A career. Does that sound right? Or maybe it was a Monday and we talked on the radio.
Yeah.
9 walks and 49 plate appearances since then, 400, 510, 950. So you were talking about hot streak. That's the real hot streak. The first 5 or 6 games were the appetizer. But it's they need to get it right. It doesn't really matter if I don't care if they don't trade him. I don't care. I mean, I care if they trade him or don't trade him. But whatever they do, they need to be convicted in it and not be wishy-washy about it, I think. And if the one thing I will say is I wouldn't go out and trade Carter Jensen for Taylor Ward. I wouldn't say I'm going to trade this guy for somebody who's a free agent after next season. And I know that it's not this season, but if you're going to trade Carter Jensen, it's got to be for more than a year of a middle of the pack outfielder, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I want to go back to what you said about MJ Melendez not showing the swing and miss. Like, that's me and you sitting here, me just looking at numbers on a screen. You, I know, watch the minor league games. If we can conclude that, or if that's like something you can't see, why are we paying scouts and cross checkers to be down there? Like, I get it that you and I know why because I don't watch him play. I have no idea what a swing looks like. And it wouldn't matter if I saw it. I'm not qualified to figure out where the problems are. I can see the extreme problems, but the nuanced things that, you more so, less, absolutely. Guys like Keith Law, can see. I'm not going to see, but that's what they're there for, right? You're in the get it right business.
Yeah.
right? You got to get it right on MJ Melendez and not just be like, for you and I, we can be like, hey, we were big on MJ Melendez. He really didn't swing and miss that much down there because here are the numbers we've got. But their job is to look at it and know this player will have these problems. We hear all the time. It's why they don't bring guys up.
Mm-hmm.
You still have problems with this, and he really can't play this and all that. Well, okay, then, be right when you do bring the guy up and then give him chance after chance after chance after chance.
That's fair. And I do wonder a little bit, would MJ Melendez have been as well? He would have been a top prospect because of the numbers, but would they have been as eager to get him up with this regime as they were back then? Because that's a big difference. That's a shift.
That's a good point.
It was 2022. Was that was the year that JJ was GM, but I mean, come on. Dayton was still there over him. It was the same organization. And then I wonder a little bit if he wouldn't be in the Drew Waters and John Rave boat of we're not touching that guy until we absolutely have to. But I wonder if it would have been a little different. So that takes some solace in that. The other thing that I think about a lot is back in 2021, I had it wasn't even a scout friend, just a buddy who liked to watch the minor leagues and lived in Omaha. And he would text me and go, I don't know how he keeps hitting home runs. This is the ugliest swing I've ever seen in my life. It's ridiculous. Now, the other funny thing about that is he's responded with, remember when I said MJ was the ugliest swing ever? Joey Weimer's here. So that's now the ugliest swing ever, if you're wondering. But yeah, it doesn't make sense that he was able to make contact, but he was, to be fair. But they absolutely should have picked up on that.
Yeah. So, what do we think? Since we started the MJ Melendez, let's finish it real here. What does he do to the outfield rotation now that he's here? And is this just temporary, or they think, no, this is part of the solution?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Obviously, if it's temporary, I think that I wonder a little bit too if they don't seem to think Nick Lofton's issue is serious, but it's a concussion. It's always serious. You never really know, right? Like you cover football. It's sometimes you think they're about to be clear and then they're not. The couple things about Melendez that I find interesting. He went to the minors, was terrible for like 3 weeks. From what I understand, the best I could tell from video, and I'm not 100% sure, I think he ditched the new swing, the one that we were interested in the offseason, and went back to what he did before around the Salt Lake series when Caglianone came up. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. I didn't think about that until I mentioned that. But since he ditched it, 284, 335, 542, 15 doubles, 2 triples, 11 homers. He clearly feels comfortable with that ugly swing. And the one thing that I will come back to is you want to be better than what MJ Melendez has been, but it's easy to forget he's never been a terrible hitter. He was bad. Until this year, he's never been a terrible hitter. His 88 OPS plus last year would be head and shoulders better than anybody on the Royals, which is not praising him, I want to point out. But if the Royals had 2024 MJ Melendez in left field and 2024 Hunter Renfroe in right field, I think they'd be over 500, which is wild to think about. But that's just how bad the production has been this year. So, no, I don't think he's fixed or anything. But I think theoretically, if he's back to being a below average player and not a terrible player, he could actually be a boost, which is, again, not praising him, damning the Royals.
Yeah, which means that they clearly still have some things that they need to get done when it comes to the trade deadline or just being better this year if they're just going to stand pat. We'll talk about the trade deadline here in a second after you hear from our friends at David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to to 22-222. That's HURT to 22-222. Or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, let's talk about the trade deadline. What do we're now, today is 1 week away, right? So we're a week away from it. Deals can come together quick. Some deals take longer. Scott Sharp said on New Day with SSJ that, it took 9 days, I think it was the number he said, to put together the Lucas Erceg trade. Took 45 minutes to put together the Michael Lorenzen trade, right? So somewhere in between lies most deals. 9 days is a long time to be grinding on a deal for Lucas Erceg. I don't think that's typical. But they've been talking, as everybody is. They know where everybody's at. Which unfortunately for a lot of people is still not sure, right? So I do think one of the things you can do is, again, look in the mirror, know who you are, know whether or not you can contend. I don't think they can. I haven't felt they can contend for a long time. So once your course is set, you can be checking in with people, but if you yourself are like, well, if we get hot, then we're going to buy. But if we get swept, we're going to sell. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here. I don't know that you're really putting everything into, trying to facilitate and create and build the deals with other teams if you are not resolute in what you are as a buyer or seller. And I absolutely think you have to be one or the other. Standing pat is a problem. These are moments where the Royals can, the trade deadline is an opportunity to create assets. And you can't just sit it out. Oh, we'll make up for it by buying free agents. We know that's not going to be the case. So right now, I would assume we're both on the sell side.
So I am, but
you're always the sell, but buy. You're fine to take the big leaguers as long as they're guys you control.
Yeah, well, that too. But also,
that to me is still selling.
I agree. I keep looking though. Who are they selling? It's Seth Lugo, 100%. Seth Lugo for sure. And I think that you have a couple other options. Carlos Estevez, yeah, I think that makes sense. Chris Bubich could make sense, but from what I've heard, and maybe you've heard different, the Royals are willing to trade him for a package that no team is willing to trade for him, which means that they're not really willing to trade him. They're saying they are, but if somebody comes and gives them a crazy deal, they're going to do it. It's just not going to happen.
And that needs to be the kind of thing where they need to, in my opinion, the teams that have shown that they're interested in pitching, shown that they're interested in a left-hander, shown that they're interested in somebody that doesn't have top-end velocity, shown that they're interested in having control. The real teams narrow it down to that he is a good fit, and they need to construct what it would take specifically. Not the thing that I always felt like, and I'm sure it was not as generic as Dayton Moore would make it, but like, we're always willing to listen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need you to just answer the phone. I need you to pick up the phone and make the offer and say, here's what we think. Now, can we get something done here? Do we need to throw in somebody, to balance this out and then work it? Like that's, and we won't know, but JJ's got to be proactive as a seller. And I get it. You don't really want to trade Chris Bubich. But to me, my answer to that, and you listen, if you're a fantasy football or fantasy baseball player, you've been through these emotions. It's no different. You got the guy you like watching him. You don't want to move him, or you got the guy, if you got a keeper league or whatever, he's young, he's a hitter. And people tell me like, well, I won't move him. I'm like, well, you're a dumbass. You haven't even heard what I would give you for him. But that's fanboy stuff. I got Bobby Witt on my team. I'm not trading him, but I'm going to give you Juan Soto, Tarek Skubal. Like you're saying no to this? Like what?
That's a bad trade, Trent. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Yeah. But my point is, like, if you're a major league team, really you should listen on anybody.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a small market team. But I get it. If you're like, what I'm going to ask you for Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be an amount that will devastate your roster. If you're not willing to devastate your roster, let's not talk. Okay, let's move on. Fine, I get that. But Chris Bubich is not Bobby Witt Jr. And to me, like, I think it's easier to turn around and say, who wouldn't you trade? Bobby, like who would it take a devastation? Who would you say you're going to have to give me way more than what his numbers are worth? I think it's Bobby. I think Jack Caglianone, just off the upside and the power, you're going to be like, I'm not just doing what he looks like as a prospect because we think he's 40 plus and we got to have that. It's Salvador Perez, comes at a more expensive price.
That's
right?
A feelings, but it's true.
Yeah, and you got to convince him. I think Vinnie enters that territory.
Vinny's interesting there. I think a name that you might disagree with, but I'll explain to you. I think you'll come around if you do. Is Cole Reagans. You can't trade him right now. That's a terrible trade.
You're trading low.
Yeah, which I think that if somebody comes and offers you somewhere between 24 and 25 Cole Reagans, sure, make the move. It's not going to happen because he's hurt. And so I think that's a bad move right now. Yeah, that's a good point. Trying to think if there's anybody else I wouldn't trade, and I don't think there is. But at the same time, a lot of that's because a lot of them don't have much trade value. And I mean, I think they could trade Jonathan India too. I've seen his name. Have you seen his name come up more than you expected?
Not since you talked about, the fact that
green light dispenser.
Sorry about that. Not since you said there was interest in him.
Yeah.
By the way, the touch mouse is a great thing. And tell you
a little too touchy.
Yeah. But thanks to our friends at Greenlight. But no, you brought it up, and then I was like, oh, interesting. But he does look like the kind of guy, I call him the David DeJesus of the infield. Yeah. And that might be an insult to David DeJesus, but he looks like the guy that is, if you don't have someone to lead off, if you don't have a second baseman, we can get him. Yeah, I love him. And then as soon as you got him and you watch him every day, you're like, we got to have better than this guy. Right? Like, so it does make sense. I think he is the perfect guy to get coming down the stretch when you decide this is what we need and he can fill that.
Well, yeah. And the other thing too, if you think about some of the Lugo suitors, the Cubs, they could use him if they're willing to play him at third. Although Matt Shaw looked good this series, so maybe, I don't know. The Red Sox could use him. The Mets could probably use him. I don't know if the Blue Jays could. I guess Ernie Clement's playing pretty well. The Padres could use him. The Yankees could use him. I think the Reds are okay. And I have the Reds on my Lugo list as kind of a weird entrant. But I don't think they'd want him back necessarily. And the Astros could use him with Paredes out. So, and I don't know if when Pena's coming back, or if he's back already. Maybe I missed that. But yeah, there are some package deals that could be had. And what was the rumor with the Red Sox that they wouldn't give up Duran for a pitcher, but it would take more? Well, maybe Lugo and India starts the deal, and that's if it would be more than Lugo and India, right? I should say, because if they would give up Jarren Duran for Lugo and India, I'd call and say yes. I'd do it on behalf of JJ, but I don't even love Jarren Duran. I think there's a lot of red flags there, but there maybe is a package deal that could be had. And actually, the funny thing is, Fermin fits in a lot of those teams too. So all of a sudden, you're going a 3-for-1, clearing some roster spots. Use those to go get a couple long-term pitchers. I feel better. But yeah, you're right. There aren't many guys you wouldn't trade. But I think Kyle Isbell could go. We talked about that on the show on Monday very briefly. Otherwise, I don't see them trading Maikel Garcia. I don't know if maybe they should, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to trade. They're not going to trade Urseg, even though people want them to, and I get why. 30-year-old reliever, even though he's got all the control and he struggled a little bit, but I don't see that. I think Serpa could go. I thought Lynch might go, but I don't think you'll see that with him hurt now. I don't know who do you see going?
Who do I see going
or could go?
Well, I mean, I think everything starts with Lugo, obviously. So there's no new information there. I could see, Isbell. If you're really selling, I could see Kyle Isbell going to a team that says we need a defensive center fielder, and that's what we got to have. We got to shore some things up here. And so I could see him being a piece. I think virtually anybody in the bullpen. I literally, and that includes Lucas Urseg. I know you have control, but you've already seen him kind of come off track a little bit. And it's, if the idea was we've got 5 years of him just absolutely dominating 2, 3, 4 in the lineup whenever we want him, that's not true. Guys get hurt. And so the same control that you coveted, the other teams will covet. You now know him as a player. Is he in the training room all the time? Is he barking about soreness? Is he? I don't know. I'm not suggesting that he is, but now you know. And so he's the guy that I know they would say they don't want to trade out of that bullpen. You have all the control over Cruz. They're not going to want to trade him, but that's part of what gives him the value. And I think you've got to get to a point where you can identify relievers in the second wave of free agency on the second tier that, like, hey, I see this and we can probably give him this and make him better. The Rays did that all the time. And you've got to just have almost an endless pipeline of your own guys coming through. And that starts, in my opinion, by one, getting it right with starting pitching. I mean, what would Luke Hochevar's career have been like if you'd had other pitchers that would have pushed him out of the starting rotation? He could have gotten to relieving sooner, right? Maybe he doesn't even get hurt. Maybe he's, you get a guy who ends up being a Royals Hall of Famer because he saves 300 games in addition to, the work he does as a setup guy because somebody pushed him out, but there was never anybody to shove Luke Hochevar out. So you just kept hoping he was going to make it work.
He wasn't just not shoved out. He was the number one starter.
Yeah. And so, and right now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that down there. Right. So, but I still think you have to believe that it's going to begin to look like that.
Well, and Steven Cruz is the guy they identified. They got him from Michael A. Taylor.
Yeah.
If you can do, I don't even say one a year, every other year, make a trade where you get a big league reliever for 2 years down the road, you're set.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they've drafted a couple guys. They've said, okay, we're going to look at rounds 4 through 7, through 4, 7, 8, whatever, in that range. We're going to get some relievers. We're going to get some guys who can fill out the bullpen. And I think that's a really good strategy because you top load your bonuses at the front end, and then you get some college relievers who can move and can fill in that bullpen.
Yeah. Curtis says they'll sell impending free agents, but for pieces that help the next 2 to 3 seasons, that sounds like a great plan, right? Tyler says if they sell and it comes out that they couldn't get a deal done because they ran out of time, they failed. I would agree. I think they would be the president of that club. As Dayton Moore said at the introductory press conference, pitching is the currency in baseball. It is. And they have to become a pitching factory.
Yeah.
That's what the Milwaukee Brewers do, right? The Brewers have a smaller payroll than the Royals right now, and they're contending like they always do. And this was a year that the betting market said they were going to come back to the pack. They have not come back to the pack.
And they lost a bunch of pitchers.
Yeah.
How many starters have they used this year? It's like 13 or something, maybe more. And they've all been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's, they get it. They get the pitching part. And I remember they were the team that was talked about like, oh, well, they've had a pitching lab for 5 years, right? Like, yeah, they seem to be like 5 years ahead of the Royals. And that's what you are hoping that the Royals are going to eventually get to as an organization. I want to talk about John Rave, where he fits, Noah Cameron, why he's not getting more hype for the Rookie of the Year. We'll do it after you hear from our friends. Heard a little premature. Now we'll hear it on time.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave, and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. There is a lot of water under the bridge on John Rave as a minor leaguer, not much as a big leaguer, but, people talk about the exit or the launch angle, and that he went down during the All-Star break, worked with some folks at Driveline and one of the Drivelines, and has come back seemingly a different hitter. What is the upside? I don't want to say what he is, because we Mark Teahan, we love him, one of the best guys ever covered. But he had that one window of like 350 at-bats where he could turn on the ball and had 18 home runs. Kind of what we were hoping was going to happen with MJ Melendez, and then it was going to stick. But MJ Melendez already reverted back to the old swing, and that ultimately happened with Mark Teahan. At least the results did. John Rave, where did you put the upside now?
Well, it's interesting, and it's only 6 games, right, since the break. But he has 91 mile per hour average exit velocity, 54% hard hit rate, 23% barrel rate per batted ball event, which is wild. And again, it's 6 games. A lot of hitters can do that over 6 games. But he hadn't shown it before. He was kind of swinging a little bit of a wet noodle before. And expected average since the break of 319, expected slug of 825. He doesn't chase. He will work a walk. He will strike out a little bit. But look, if he's going to hit, it's okay to strike out. And I don't know, the at bats seem better. This is just a total mind thing, but he just seems, I'm gonna hut it out here, but he seems more confident. And that comes with success, obviously, right? I mean, I think that's there's a reason hot streaks can sometimes carry on, because you feel good. You feel confident in yourself. I don't know. I don't think I still fully buy, but I wonder a little bit. So the Isbell stuff that I heard came up.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think he can play center field?
That's the
At
question.
least be a stopgap, because if he can, it does get easier to move on from Kyle Isbell.
That's exactly. Yeah, I think he's fast. His sprint speed is. I looked it up and I should have remembered it. I think it's like 29 feet per second, which is elite. If I could type, I could actually get to his Baseball Savant page. But he's fast enough to play center for sure. Defensively, people raved about him in Omaha. No pun intended. He's 93rd percentile in sprint speed, 29.2 feet per second. He's fast enough. He doesn't get the reads that Kyle Isbell gets, but that's because Kyle Isbell gets better reads than almost anybody.
Yeah.
But he has a decent arm. He can go get the ball. He can make up for a mistake because he's got the speed. I don't know that you want to say John Rave is my center fielder for 5 years, but I think the Royals, I think part of the Isbell stuff that is interesting to me is, do the Royals want to see if John Rave can play center field next year? Do they want to see if, okay, we can get this guy in center field. We can clear up. Jack Caglianone is going to play right. John Rave is going to play center. If we know that, we can find a left fielder. And maybe that's the plan. I don't know. But again, 6 games. We'll see what happens. Gets a day off today. Comes home. I think he's hit worse at home, although he hit poorly everywhere before the break. So it's hard to say worse. But I'm at least, I went from not being interested at all in a John Rave at bat to being very curious about his at bats now. And I think that's a good first step. And not that my interest means anything, but I do think it's he's worth watching right now. And he wasn't before.
Yeah. I think that if nothing else, if he just is like, okay, we think he can handle the spot for a while. If he's a 4th outfielder and you admit that you're selling, then the 4th outfielder can start for a while. Cause I think that's what Kyle Isbell is.
Yeah.
Right. He'd be a 4th outfielder that you're hoping there's more offense, less defense with what it is than, Isbell's more defense. But if it just empowers you to be able to move Kyle Isbell for a deal that ends up being a good one down the road, then he served his purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like he can be a valuable piece. And it's what I say to people, yes, we're all looking for the guy that's going to be the 40 and 120 guy. And that's what we hope Jack Caglianone is. And we're all looking for an MVP caliber player. And that's what I think we know Bobby Witt Jr. is. He has that. He was good enough to be the MVP last year. You need those guys, but you also need the guys that can come in and just do it for a little bit. Like Mike Aviles, problem was the Royals needed him to be Bobby Witt Jr. And if he could have just been what he was for 300 at-bats, used when he can be effective, that's a valuable piece. When you're paying him league minimum and they're giving you real big league player abilities, that's an important part of your system. Your system has to do that. And if John Rave just ends up being the guy that allows them to play him in center field for half a year, but they move Kyle Isbell in a deal that 2 years from now we're going, and they got this guy for Kyle Isbell, who's a good player. We liked Kyle Isbell, but man, this is an all-star player. Those, if it empowers you to be transactional and you're good at the transactions, which so far JJ Piccolo has, then John Rave has served a valuable purpose for this organization.
Yeah, and Isbell too, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, let's not sleep on that part of the equation as well.
It's and so I do wonder a little bit if maybe the trip to Driveline was preceded by a plan put in place by everybody's favorite hitting coach, Alex Zumwalt, and his team. And I think that's important to note because I think that was missed a little bit in the story. Obviously, the driveline people did it. You got it, worked with him over a couple of days. But I wonder if the Royals said, look, we feel confident in this guy. We feel confident that with these changes, he's going to be able to hit in the 8-9 spot and play center field for us. So we're going to shop Kyle Isbell. And I don't know the Isbell stuff. I don't know if they've shopped him or if teams have called on him. So that's a different, that could change the story a little bit here. But I do think we've reached a point where it's, hey, let's see what John Rave can do. Let's see if he can play center field in maybe it's more than 3 months. Maybe it's 6 months in 3. Maybe it's next year in 3 months. Maybe they say, look, we really believe in, I don't think he's going to, defensively, I think he's there. I don't think he's going to make enough contact, but Carson Rocafort, we believe in him, but we need a guy to bridge that gap. Or maybe it's Sean Gamble. We think he's going to move. We're going to put him in center field. He's going to fly through the system. We need a guy to bridge that gap until he gets there. That would be pretty risky at this point, but you get the idea. Is we don't need to go out and get a center fielder because I don't even know who's Harrison Bader is a free agent. He hasn't played center field this year. That's mostly because of Byron Buxton, but who's out there? So maybe he's the stopgap instead of a free agent you sign. And they want to see if he can be that stopgap right now because it's better to find out in season than to have to guess going into next year. So I think that there's something there. It's interesting. And he may fall flat on his face, but the early returns are very good.
Yeah. It's they've done a nice job organizationally. I think this year we were all disappointed. I think as fans, you wanted Hunter Renfroe out of the equation quicker, but they got him out pretty early. I mean, we've seen a lot of John Rave. And so, once you realized, okay, we gave him time to get going, he's not going to get going. They're doing what we all wanted. Well, let's see what you got in these guys, right? They didn't do it with Cam Devaney. I'm going to point that out. Adam Frazier's here instead, but they need to be right on that. But they're finding out what John Rave can do.
But could Cam Devaney have hit a fly ball that the right fielder would have dropped that set up an 8-run game?
Maybe not.
Hard to say.
Not. It is hard to say. Why is Noah Cameron not getting more love for Rookie of the Year? I'm going to read you the odds. These odds are a couple of days old, so they may have shifted around a little bit. But I mean literally 2 days old from when I put this down. Nick Kurtz is a betting favorite against the field right now to win the MVP at -150. Okay, fine. Which is amazing because Nick Kurtz, there were a lot of people that weren't that high on him as prospect wise coming in. I know Fangraphs wasn't that big on him coming in this year, but after a slow start, he's played very well for the A's. Jacob Wilson was an all-star. 7-4 are the odds for Jacob Wilson. Okay. He's an all-star. Sounds good. But then Cam Smith, 4-1, Roman Anthony, 18-1, Carlos Nevarez, 50-1, Hassan Dominguez, 50-1. Then you get to where Noah Cameron is with Shane Smith and Jack Leiter at 100-1. I'm going to go down that same list and give you the WAR for each of these players. 2.4 for Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, 2.1, Cam Smith, 1.8, Roman Anthony, 1.2, Nevarez, 3.1, Dominguez, 0.6, Jack Leiter, 0, Noah Cameron, 2.8, Shane Smith, 0.6. Okay, if I give you that in order, and is it Carlos? Is
Narvaez?
Narvaez.
Yeah.
I was like, did I miss the R in there?
I had to think about that for a second.
Is tops at 3.1. Second is Noah Cameron at 2.8. And I'm fine if you like Nick Kurtz over Noah Cameron. Nick Kurtz has a 2.4 WAR. Yeah. And I'm fine, I guess, Jacob Wilson, if you like him. Kurtz, Jacob Wilson plays shortstop. Okay. 2.1. This is purely bias. You're a prospect, a bigger prospect all along, so you must be better. This is you look the part. Noah Cameron is kind of a junk baller, right? And so we want this award to stand up. This is almost a career prediction as opposed to who deserves the Rookie of the Year. He should be at least in the top 3 amongst the odds. And I'm not faulting the odds makers. The odds makers are reflecting what they know about the voters, right? They're not in the, I want to promote a guy. They're in the, I want to make money off these bets. And to get anybody to bet on Noah Cameron, they've got to lay 100-1 out there. There's some Royals bias, yes, small market. All that's baked in. But Noah Cameron
I mean, the A's are the top 2 odds.
True, and they are. Yeah, they're Sacramento.
But they're both having really good seasons. To be fair,
they are, but not according to. And Cam Raleigh. This is what bothers me. Cam Raleigh is second in the AL voting right now in the minds of people for the. But Aaron Judge is blowing him away because of all the peripherals. The peripherals matter to give the Yankee the MVP award, but the peripherals don't matter when it comes to deciding the Rookie of the Year award. This is asinine.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I have it pulled up right now, looking at some of the rookies. Look, Nick Kurtz, 281, 355, 614. Yeah, he should win Rookie of the Year. I'm gonna say right now that guy should win Rookie of the Year. He's my pick. Jacob Wilson has really fallen off, which is no surprise. I mean, honestly, the fact that he was hitting 350 at one point is ridiculous. He's down to 311. He's got some pop, a little more than Luis Ariz, not a lot more than Luis Ariz, but 10 home runs. That ballpark helps quite a bit, but he needs his batting average to be well over 300 to be valuable, and it's coming down. But the rest, you're right. I mean, Shane Smith, I'm sorry. I know he's a good story, Rule 5 pick, all that on the downswing. Jack Leiter is not having a good year, and I was going to bring up, I think part of it is Noah Cameron doesn't do it with flash. He's not striking guys out. And I mean, you mentioned that a little bit too, but Jack Leiter isn't either. Jack Leiter is not striking guys out with 100. Noah Cameron is not striking guys out with guile. And I mean, Noah Cameron is a little more aesthetically pleasing to watch pitch than Jack Leiter, I think, because to watch 100 miles per hour not get whiffed on is unsettling a little bit. And we see it a lot now because everybody throws 100. Everybody throws mid-90s, so 100 isn't that shocking anymore. But even so, yeah, I think there's a really Nick Kurtz is, I think, like I said, the Rookie of the Year. Carlos Narvaez has been really good for the Red Sox, and he's got the Red Sox, the Boston backing. Okay, I buy that. Cam Smith has been okay. Jacob Wilson is trending down toward okay. Roman Anthony, he's trending up, and maybe that changes over the next 7 weeks, whatever it is, 8 weeks left of the season. More than that, actually, 9 weeks. But maybe he's a guy. Jason Dominguez has not been good. I mean, he's been fine. He's a terrible defender. Noah Cameron deserves. I don't know if it's top 3 or top 5, but he deserves to be in there.
Yeah, he should very much so. And I'm now believing that Jason Starks once described it as there's some guys you just can't explain. They just create funky contact.
Yeah,
and clearly he hides the ball well. Clearly he does a lot of the little things well. To make it work. I would like to see the man get some credit. We're far enough in, and I love his last outing. I love the outings when he goes out there and he's not at his best, or maybe he is at his best, but he's getting a little bit roughed up. He doesn't wet his pants. I said it the other day. I said, you know what? There are a lot of guys that, a little bit of a shart, okay? And all of a sudden they crap their pants.
The Royals have a few of them.
Not Noah Cameron. He okay, this didn't go my way, but he hangs in there. He still gets you 6 innings. And God forbid the bats come around. They did. And there was no reason for him to believe that the bats were going to come around. And yet he still hung in the fight. And ultimately, thankfully, was rewarded with a win because he did great work. And I would just like to see him start getting.
I wonder, the other thing, 4 wins. How many wins would he have had if the Royals offense wasn't that sharp? To use your.
You like that?
I
was so proud of that,
That's amazing.
You can't turn a shart into a complete pant crapping, you gotta contain the damage.
So let's see.
That's what pitchers are asked to do.
Yeah. He gave up no runs against the Mets, didn't get a win. He gave up no runs against the A's, didn't get a win. He gave up no runs against the Mariners, only went 4 2/3 because he was throwing a bunch of pitches, didn't get a win. 1 run against the Cardinals, got a loss. 1 run against the Reds. Oh, he got a win there. 1 run against the Twins, didn't get a win. So if the offense can pick him up a little bit, he's got 1, 2. Oh, he lost the game. No runs against the Cardinals. 3, 4, 2 runs in 5 1/3 against the Padres. Let's call that 6 more wins. He's 10-3 if the offense picks him up at all. If he's 10-3, I know that we don't look at wins and losses for Cy Young, but I think they do a little bit for other awards. I think he's probably more in the conversation. So the Royals offense owes him a Rookie of the Year award.
Yes. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, or wins are really important in the minds of voters again, right? Like,
Maybe.
wins for your team and wins for the player. It does not. I hate hypocrisy. I really hate hypocrisy. I love the phrase. I don't care what the rules are as long as we're all going to play by them. Mm-hmm. Fine. If the new way is we're analytically driven, and so Cam Raleigh isn't shouldn't be getting in over Aaron Judge. Fine. Then WAR is going to be our guide. Okay, fine. Then let WAR be our guide in all the voting. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's
and his expected ERA too is really good. It's not like because you look at the 2.4, whatever it is, and you say, oh well, that's it, he's way overproducing. He is. His expected ERA is 3.15, which is the 3rd best among rookie pitchers, and the 2 ahead of him are relievers. So,
yeah, it's just frustrating. Let's close with this. Is Vinnie Pasquantino the heart and soul of this team?
He might be. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's hard to trade him midseason if you're competing because he's such a big part of the team, all that. Also, he's a huge offensive contributor to this team, which is it helps to be good, to be the heart and soul of a team. Like we've talked about, Michael Massey is a guy who I think is a really good glue guy, but he's not good enough right now to play. He wasn't good enough this year. He was good enough last year. But Vinny combines the production and that. They fell apart without him last year. I mean, there is some evidence that they need Vinnie Pasquantino, and it's the way he's hit since I put it in today's newsletter, and I can't remember the dates that I used, but April 30th, which is totally a arbitrary deadline. I will say that 100%. He is hitting 305, 360, 496 since then. It's good enough. You win a championship with that, with those numbers in the middle of your lineup. That you will win with that. Obviously, you need more around him, but I think on the field and in the dugout, he's that guy, and he's a really, really big part of what they do. So yeah, I think if he's not the heart and soul, he's the heart or the soul, and maybe there's the other one somewhere, but he's a very key part of that engine.
He's the go-to guy in that clubhouse now. He always has a comment, good or bad. He's always there. He keeps guys loose. He clearly is tight with Bobby Wood Jr. When Bobby Wood goes and sits down at I forget whose show it was, but Vinny's there, off camera with them. They're hanging out. Yeah. Jack Caglianone, they locker him next to him for a reason, and they have that great exchange. Curtis got it, one of the nights he was covering the team, and Jack tries to lay out a Bobby Wood Jr. phrase, and he kind of screws it up, and then they have a little fun interplay. He's like, no, you didn't do that right. And, it's just, you can tell, like, he is the big brother of the team and where they go to. And, oh, by the way, he can play, right? He's a good baseball player, good hitter, professional hitter, and a guy that, no one is red hot all year. And we feel like this about Bobby Wood Jr. I'm not saying Vinnie Pasquantino is the only guy that what I'm about to say is true of, but when he gets into a little bit of a slump, you don't have to be like, oh my God, is he going to come out of it? Is he
ever going to end?
Yeah. Like, do we need to send him down? No, like, he'll work through it. He'll get it done. He's a big boy, not just physically, but a big boy as far as, you don't have to diaper him. And that's an important part of the equation. I mean, it's great to see him hit well because he checks every other box.
Yeah.
Right.
I love listening to him talk hitting too. I don't know about you, but it's fascinating. He is so. I love guys like that. He and Chris Bubich Chris Bubich is the pitching version of that. I could listen to them all day long and just just be staring at them with moon eyes.
He moved to Nashville to be in the same city as where his agency is and where they have their basically coaching their hit center, their drive line. Where he could go and work all off season. I mean, he's dedicated to what he's doing. He picked the spot to where he could work in the off season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you love that.
For sure.
Oh, he's putting it all in. Real quick, we mentioned Jack Caglianone. You like him in the outfield? Do we still think he's doing well out there? He had a ball that got him the other day. But I also saw him Cadillac one, where it was like he could have. I say that, and you and I were talking before we started, and I call it Cadillacing, but I wonder if it didn't maybe get over his head a little bit. It's just what he had to do, and it looked like it. But yeah,
he's very smooth.
He was going back on a ball, and then he just kind of let it come over his shoulder and reached out and caught it in his glove. And I was like, that's a little bit of Ricky in how he took the ball. Now maybe it just got him, and that was the natural movement to get there. But he's looked pretty good, other than one that kind of twisted him and turned him and got over his head the other day. What do we think of him as an outfielder now that we've had a little time to see him play?
I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like most of the times that you look at him and go, oh, that got him, are the balls that get every new outfielder, the line drives like that. Because that one on what day was it? Tuesday? Must have been Tuesday because they lost. Yeah, the Tuesday one, it was line drive. It was a tough read. I totally understand why a guy who hadn't played outfield since he was in high school probably missed that ball. What I've noticed is he's gotten a lot better going to the line and going back into the line. I've noticed a little bit of struggle. I don't know if the numbers back this up, but I've noticed a little bit more struggle going into right center field than the corner. And that could very well be not having a great rapport with Kyle Isbell yet, or whoever's in center field. That could be he just doesn't go to his right very well. I don't know. But I've seen growth, and it was nice to see the arm unleashed, even though it got Nick Lofton. But it was nice to see that when he made the mistake on Tuesday night. I'm not going to sit here and say I think he's a Gold Glove outfielder, but I do think that he has made enough strides that combining this with Vinnie, you feel comfortable with him in right field and Vinnie at first base. And I will also remind you, Alex Gordon, when he came up in 2010, when he came back after David DeJesus got hurt, he looked bad in the outfield. It was not pretty. That was his first year playing outfield. It took him a little time. He came back in 2011. He was amazing. This is not saying that Caglianone is Alex Gordon and will become a Gold Glover, but it's not as easy a transition as most people want to believe it is. And I think he's making it very well, and I'm seeing strides. Are you?
Yeah, I'm stunned. And the first thing that gave me the thought, and it was before he even got up to the big leagues, was Keith Law saying he kind of thought it could work.
Yeah.
And I value his opinion immensely. And so I was much more open to it once he got up here. And I've been completely impressed. I mean, completely impressed. I think there's more than enough to say we're going to continue with this. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't love the idea of a 250-pound guy running around the outfield. I just think that running into the wall, going up against the wall, and I'm talking about like when you head over to the right field, foul line, and he goes up and crashes into it. Like there's a lot of force, and I don't think that's a good idea to have him out there. But I don't want Vinnie Pasquantino traded, and I don't, and Salvador Perez has earned the right to finish his career on this team, and if the team feels that his presence is more than just what he is, he's like a Vinnie Pasquantino. Always has been an important presence that bridges the Latin and American sides of the clubhouse. He gets along so great with the American players and leads the Latin players, and he's a valuable piece beyond just whatever he brings you on the baseball field. So so you need some DH at bats for him. So if this is how it has to work to have all three of those players, all three are important pieces to this franchise, and I'm okay continuing with it through that run. But at some point, I want him back at first base.
Yeah, he's a good first baseman too. That's the other thing. But yeah, the one thing that I keep coming back to, and Keith Law was obviously one that made me think that too. But this was after, maybe it might have been before Keith Law wrote about it. But somebody told me, hey, if he wasn't pitching, he would have been a right fielder. They put him at first base to save his arm. And I thought, that's a good point. Okay. Not that he played it, so he didn't play it, but a lot of people thought Florida would have put him in right field if he wasn't a pitcher. So
interesting. That's good to know. There's a lot of people that certainly are high on his ability to play right field. So Listen, you can be a great supporter of our Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors, like our buddy David Starnes at David Starnes Allstate Insurance, handling all of your insurance needs. He does a fantastic job. His crew is great. They do a great job of customer service and taking care of anything you need when it comes to your insurance. Call 816-781-7331. Northland Injury Law. For 40 years, they've been serving Kansas City, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, 5-star rating with Google. Call 816-400-HURT if you have been hurt in an accident, or text HURT to 22222. And our friends at Greenlight Dispensary with 15 locations in Missouri and more on the way. Greenlight is the go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you heard about it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. For our man, David Lesky, for our man, Les Norman, who's not here, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.